Hey fam, Patrick here. So fam, we are super excited to share episode 1 of our Patreon coverage of House of Hammer right here on the regular feed ad-free. So fam, remember back in 2021 when the news broke that the actor Armie Hammer, you know, that guy from the Facebook movie and Call Me By Your Name, had been a serial abuser of women for years, and that he was like maybe also a cannibal? Well, that's what this entire 3-part series is about. And it turns out that getting away with this kind of behavior goes back generations in the Hammer family, which is a family of billionaires, by the way. And women from within the family had been trying to blow the whistle for generations, but it wasn't until Armie Hammer's truly, depraved behavior blew up on social media that the world started paying attention. So this is some really scary and bizarre stuff, fam. All 3 episodes of our coverage of House of Hammer are available right now and ad-free at the $5 level on Patreon. That's also where you'll find over 350 ad-free full bonus episodes as well. Also on our Patreon, you'll find professionally edited videos of our Class Action Park live show, our live show from Obsessed Fest, which featured an opening number starring our Broadway dancers. You can find it all at patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed, or just go to our website and click on the Patreon link. All right, fam, now to House of Hammer. It's House of Hammer time.
No fun. No fun allowed.
Okay.
Not having fun this week.
Okie dokie.
Armie Hammer ruined it for fucking everybody. Great job, asshole.
Hi, Julia Benzavali.
Hello, Patrick Hines.
Can I tell you my very first, most watched TikTok I ever did was when I watched this episode the night it came out.
Yeah.
And I made a TikTok about how fucking terrifying it was.
Pretty terrifying.
And it got 100,000 views in an hour.
God.
I
Great job. Yeah,
It was
we
so
can all
crazy.
agree.
Yeah.
I know the world is sort of polarized right now, but
Yes.
we can agree that we all hate Armie Hammer.
You know what I was thinking about? He's so terrible, and he is never gonna work again, obviously.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to him because he's so fucking rich.
Well-
imagine if this was anybody else, they would just be destitute and suffering the way they deserve to.
Oh, God.
But because he's got so much family money,
Well,
he'd
the
never.
family stuff is insane.
It's
so.
yeah, it's wild.
All right.
We should tell them what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, House of Hammer, episode 1, Love Bomb, blah, barf.
Can I say it opens with a truly disgusting voice memo
It's
from
an
him?
audio message. Now, Armie Hammer is a lot of things, right?
Yes,
He's
yeah.
evil, twisted, garbage, blah, blah, blah. But he's also fucking reckless.
Yeah. Yes.
He puts it all out there. DMs and videos and audio messages.
It's he just sends them to people
wild.
from his verified account.
I get to come over to your house with my bag of goodies. Inside my bag of goodies, there are several different bundles of shibari rope. Shibari is a Japanese art of rope bondage. My bet was going to involve showing up at your place and completely tying you up and incapacitating you and then being able to do whatever I wanted.
Reckless is one word, but it's also he truly believes nothing bad could ever happen to
And
him.
it's also a compulsion, too.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
he might as well be holding up a newspaper with today's date on it, proving who he is.
100%.
It's like that.
Yeah, yeah.
What the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
He doesn't care about anybody.
No. So the first person we meet is this woman, Courtney, and she is just
You guys
doing
say her
that.
last name or no?
No.
Vucekovich?
Oh, I can't. I was I could try, but I'm
Okay.
not gonna.
I was going to say...
But she's doing deep breathing exercises. She's got to this is very re-traumatizing for her.
Yes.
And she's got to get herself into the mind frame to be able to tell the story
Right,
again.
and I don't blame her. So Courtney is the founder and CEO of Flashed
Yeah.
in Dallas, Fort Worth. It's an on-demand personal glam squad for hair, makeup, and photography.
Oh shit, Courtney.
Pretty cool.
That is cool.
So she's here, and I know she has been to therapy, but I recognized a lot of those mechanisms.
Oh, is that right?
Of breathing and the counting, and
Oh.
she's doing good work.
I'll just say this now. The first time I watched this, I DM'd her on Instagram.
Yeah.
And she wrote me back. I just DM'd her to say, I watch documentaries for a living, and the service you have done, I could see how hard it was for you to
Oh my God,
share these
yeah.
stories.
Yeah.
But what you have done by telling the story is so valuable.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to say thank you as a person who does this for a living. I'm always so grateful when somebody who's been through trauma
Totally.
is willing to share it. It's not your responsibility to, but
Right.
when you can, it makes other people feel less alone. And she wrote me back and she's like, oh my God, you're so nice. Thank you. So that's so nice of you to say.
Yeah.
Thank you for reaching out.
What I loved about her, too, is that she was very generous with what she wanted to say, but she also had very firm boundaries.
Yep.
And I just love that for her.
100%.
I would love to be able to paint a picture of the red flags that I saw and what happened in order for me to get in the mindset where I was almost fully controlled by somebody.
She explains right at the top. So I'm going to tell you how I got to the point where he was controlling me.
Yeah.
Because no one like joins a cult, right?
Yes.
So she...
And controlling like that, cult-like, where she was like, didn't recognize herself, where like, beyond like...
and a lot of fear.
Yes.
You know, it wasn't just like an MLM gone bad.
No,
it was like
but I gotta also say, if he weren't a famous person, I think there would be fewer victims.
Of course.
And I put myself in that category of like, of course I'm going to write back to like the famous person who reaches out to me.
And no one has any illusions about that.
Yep.
Like, I think it's very...
Everyone's very honest, including me.
And
I would have written back to Army Hammer faster than you can say...
Facebook.
Faster than you can say...
The Winklevi twins. The Winklevis.
Yeah.
We're going to get into the Facebook movie in a little bit. Don't you worry about that. I came with props.
Oh
it was a whole thing. So, and
dating
also...
you was like dating a Stairmaster.
It'll be because you're an asshole. Also, the timing of this is very important because it happened in the pandemic when everyone was horny and bored.
Yes.
So we'll get into that.
Yes.
But she talks about like this all happened in like November, December 2019. She can't remember the date, but she remembers that there were Christmas decorations up all over the place. Courtney's out with her friends at a bar, and Army Hammer just happens to be at the bar. And one of her friends is like, "Oh, hey, it's that guy from the Facebook movie. Where's the other one?" Just kidding. He played both. But she like didn't really know who he was, and they end up talking a little bit. Nothing comes of it.
Yeah.
But the next day, they follow each other on Instagram, and I just want to pause on this.
Yep.
Like, just think about that.
Yeah.
I know she's saying she didn't really know who he was, but at the time, like, the Facebook movie was huge, and he was a big deal.
Yes.
And for like the celebrity you met the night before to follow you back on Instagram is wild.
No. She followed him back.
Oh, did she?
He followed. She woke
Well, that's
up to
even
be,
more wild.
It's really wild, but I think when you're Courtney and you're fucking awesome and you're like a boss lady entrepreneur in like Dallas, you're like, that's about right.
Yeah.
I'm hot. I'm amazing.
Someone else says that later, and I'm obsessed with her for it. The
she's
artist.
like, he's famous. I'm a big deal. This makes sense. And it's good for her. Even if nothing ever comes of it, people scroll through who follows her. Fucking Army Hammer does. It's a big deal.
Like, but it's like you're also following.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
So then, they just follow each other and nothing happens. But then March 2020 happens. The world shuts down.
Yeah. Her business goes on pause.
Of course. Everyone is horny and bored. I'm going to say it again.
Yep.
June 2020. You get an Army Hammer DM, little blue check mark. He just chose to speak to me one day. So I was like, my brain, I'm like, I've been doing nothing for a month. It's COVID. This is interesting.
And Courtney says he just chose to speak to me one day. And I thought that wording was very interesting.
Yeah.
Chose to speak to me.
But then also, like, this episode is called Love Bombing.
Yeah.
And that starts right away.
And also, again, everyone's bored.
Yeah.
It's the summer of 2020, and like a famous person is DMing her.
Yeah. But Courtney, being smart, immediately googs him, realizes that he's married. And she's like, wait a second. Like, I'm not going to get mixed up with a married guy. And he's like lying to her right from the start. He's like, we're separated. I live in New York. She lives in LA.
And we have to do it to keep up appearances. You know, I'm a celebrity. Like, I have kids. And just totally gives her a story that I'm sure sounds pretty believable.
Sure. And then she says it's constant communication. He's texting her, calling her. They would fall asleep on the phone together. Then he'd be the first phone call the next morning.
And just to be clear, he's acting like there's no way he has a wife and family if he's acting this way. He's texting her so much. They're on the phone for hours. Like, you can't do that when you have a wife, right?
Yeah. And like, he's telling her family secrets.
Well,
like,
not all of them.
Not all of them, no. But they also, quote, bond over trauma from their childhood.
Right. He's
getting ammunition.
Right. Yeah. And so, like, she's like, this is amazing. He's listening to me, where he's like opening up. Like, this is what like people dream about. This strapping guy you see on the silver screen is now like in your DMs crying about his family drama, and you relate to him. Like, this never happened.
Nope.
And it's the pandemic.
We got to put a pin in Courtney because now we got to meet Ryan from the Tuesday night acting class.
The Tuesday, and that's not a joke. It was the Tuesday night acting class.
I am obsessed. He's like, me and Army Hammer took classes together forever.
Tuesday night.
He describes him as the guy who can like make you feel like you're the only person in the room.
Whatever.
I know.
For years, I got to watch his kind of rise to stardom. Army had bit player roles in the beginning. You would have a couple of lines, it builds a resume.
Hey, Star Door.
And then he got Gossip Girl, and that was like a couple of episodes. We were all in the same kind of boat. We were all just scrambling to try to get auditions.
And then the Facebook movie happens.
The Social Network comes along.
Yeah.
Everyone on Earth auditioned for that, including me.
What role did you audition for?
Erica Albright.
Is that the
girlfriend?
Oh my God.
That's Rooney Mara.
Dating you is like dating a Stairmaster.
I could have said that.
I know.
So, fun fact. So, here's what I did today.
Oh God.
I found the audition email.
Oh my God.
That my agents used to send me, like, you have an appointment for whatever. But for this, they basically gave us no information. It was 2009. It was an untitled feature film. film. The sides, it was like script unavailable. The sides were scenes from, because Aaron Sorkin wrote it, David Fincher directed it.
Yeah.
But you can't put that information. It was like too big of a movie.
Yeah.
So that would happen a lot, like untitled, whatever. And you just sort of had to guess, like,
Uh-huh.
The sides were from The West Wing and Studio 60.
Oh my God.
Just to see if you could like speak Sorkinese, basically.
Yeah.
And here's the breakdown. So the breakdowns are like when they describe what roles they're looking for. Female lead 1, that was what I was going in for. Caucasian, the girl next door and the one who got away. She carries herself with poise and dignity, even when being humiliated. Rooney Mara.
Oh my,
Right?
even when being humiliated.
Right? So if you know the movie, I weirdly know this movie pretty well. Once you you'll guess immediately halfway through. Female lead number 2, all ethnicities. A young lawyer at a high-end firm who's the junior member of her team. She's calm, dry, wise beyond her years, and easy to fall for her once you know her. Rashida Jones.
Oh my God.
Which is she's like the junior, but
Yeah.
there's no sexual tension between her and Zuck.
Uh-huh.
Whatever. Asian American with no accent. Oof, Maron. A Harvard sophomore who's enjoying being young, smart, and sexy. She seems normal enough, but she'll go crazy and light her boyfriend's apartment on fire, which is exactly what she does to Andrew Garfield. Brenda Song, everybody. The last one, a sexy college student at a very good school who's just woken up from a one-night stand. Dakota Johnson sleeping with Justin Timberlake.
Oh my God.
So that was, went in
How
for-
did your audition go?
Not. I mean, they made the right decision. Rooney Mara got it. It's weird. It's always very strange, and so it was just weird to sort of think back to that time in my life.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to. Sometimes you'd have to go to Telsey or one of the bigger name things for a feature. But I just went to my agent's office and did it. So that's when you knew this is kind of a big deal. They kept it all under wraps. But they they truly saw everyone. If they saw me, they were seeing everybody.
That is
movie.
amazing.
There you go.
Well, anyway.
Whatever. Moving on.
And I do remember hearing that David Fincher, the director of The Social Network, liked Army's pedigree. These are millionaires. Who knows better than that than a descendant of Arm & Hammer?
Using the word pedigree for human beings is so gross.
It is.
Because the Winklevoss twins were rich.
Excuse you, the Winklevi.
The Winklevi were very rich. They were whatever. They were Army Hammer.
They came
and
from that kind of
he
lineage.
looks like them.
Right. They row crew, the
Yeah.
lineage, that same. I know the word's gross, but I know what he's trying to say.
Totally.
So we learned about Army's great-grandfather, Armand or Armand Hammer. Question, do we pronounce it like the birdcage?
Isn't he trash? Doesn't it not matter?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Forget it. I just, because in the,
I do appreciate any opportunity to mention the birdcage.
yeah,
I'm into.
because usually they go Armand,
Yeah.
except the reporter who goes Armand. So
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
Are
totally.
we doing it the way Albert says
Yeah.
it, or the way the shitty reporter
Let's go
does?
with Albert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Armand. So,
Anything to make this gayer, I'll take it.
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I just watched it again the other night.
I love you so much.
From beginning to end, every line. I was to the point where Mike was like, "You're doing it again," saying every line. I'm like, "Did you agree to watch this with me or not?"
I love that the birdcage is one of your go-tos. It's so good.
I watched it when I got home from your book party.
Oh my God. I gotta bring me a parent tablet.
It's aspirin with the A and the S scratched off. So Armand Hammer, the great grandfather, his name is all over LA. Did you know that he bought the Knoedler Museum in 1971?
No.
He's a big art collector. His name is on golf courses. When we're
Yeah.
talking about old family money,
Well, he was a billionaire in the early 1900s. That makes him a cajillionaire today.
Right. And so now I can't stop hearing Armand Hammer.
Yeah.
The company, the
Yeah, it's the
biggies.
same company.
It used to not be.
Oh, really?
So I Googled this. Wikipedia told me that it is often claimed that the brand name originated with the tycoon.
Yeah.
But he got that question, are you Armand Hammer? The company so much that he was like, fuck it, I'll just buy it.
Are you serious?
So he tried to buy the company and couldn't, but then his parent company, some stock from the big ginormous company ends up buying some of it. So Armand Hammer was so annoyed that people were assuming that he was the baking soda company.
Oh my God.
That he just fucking bought it. That's who we're dealing with here.
Wow.
Is that crazy?
That is wild.
All right,
I'm
anyway.
glad we took that little side route.
Thank you.
So anyway, now we meet Seth from The Hollywood Reporter.
Right.
When I interviewed Army, he was in awards contention for Call Me By Your Name and was on that teetering cusp of establishing himself as force to be contended with within Hollywood.
And basically, he wrote a big profile piece on Armie Hammer. So he spent a full day with him.
And it was basically about his privilege, his rich upbringing. And so we learn he's born in Santa Monica, California.
Yeah.
His father moves the family to the Cayman Islands. And I'm to be closer to those offshore bank
Yeah,
accounts.
I'm this is definitely a fucking tax thing.
Even Seth is when I hear the Caymans, I think of the offshore bank
one
accounts.
thing and one thing Schooling only.
Like,
That's the
are you
only
kidding?
reason to go there. Yeah. But then they move back to LA when he's in 7th grade and he begins to pursue a dream of acting at that age.
Whatever. So there's footage. But when they're talking about The Social Network, they're
Yeah.
saying that it like launches his career. And
Yeah.
it's like he was starring opposite Andrew Garfield, Justin Timberlake. And I'm like, Jesse Eisenberg, who played Zuckerberg, isn't mentioned at all. They shared the screen. Armie Hammer
It's
was
true.
not in any scenes with Justin
Yeah,
Timberlake.
yeah.
Because the Winklevi had been booted out of the situation by then. But
Yeah.
I'm like, can we give Jesse Eisenberg some
That's
credit
so
here?
funny. Just finished Fleischman is in Trouble. Very good series.
I watched that too.
It's
Intense.
very hard to get through, but
Is
it was
there
really
anything
good.
Claire Danes can't do?
I know.
The thing she does best is I get screaming at the top of her lungs and sobbing hysterically.
She's honestly so good in it that I kind of hate her now.
Oh, God.
I know.
She went through a lot.
I know. But I wanted to also say when they were talking about The Social Network, Josh from Tuesday Night Acting Class runs into Armie Hammer like out in the wild.
Armie Hammer's like, shit,
Well,
shit,
he's
shit,
like,
shit.
he looks good now. He looks like a fucking movie star.
Well, whatever.
I love that they got Josh from Tuesday Night Acting Class.
Josh. And they're like, oh, I'll talk about him.
Totally.
But also, there's footage of Armie and his wife, quote, kissing on the red carpet. They fucking hate each other.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's so awkward and
When
horrible.
we learn like what he puts women through, of course she hates him.
Of course,
Yeah.
but like you can see it. Like I don't even think you need hindsight for it. Like she's
Yeah.
pulling away from him, and there
Yeah.
are thousands of cameras. Like he tries to kiss like for the cameras, and she's actively pulling away from him and not trying to hide it.
Right. Well, it's a good transition because at this point, Seth from The Hollywood Reporter says,
There was one thing that repeatedly came up when I talked to people and told them I was profiling him, and it was about that he had a sort of edgy interest in BDSM sex.
Now I learned a lot about this watching
Same.
the series.
Same.
Armie Hammer's not into BDSM.
no. But just to close the loop on that, he shuts Seth down. He's like, I have less of a comment on that than if I had no comment.
Right, because he doesn't know anything about it. Because as I've learned, BDSM, their motto is safe, sane, and consensual.
Yeah.
The whole thing about BDSM is like you can get fucking weird, but everyone has to say yes about it.
Yes.
Not even weird.
Right,
Whatever. We're not
because-
kink shaming. I'm just saying,
No,
like,
what Armie Hammer wants to do is rape and abuse women.
and then hide behind BDSM, which is
Right.
like, we need to talk about it more because now there's this stigma that's like a very healthy, thriving community
Yeah,
that
yeah.
he is trying to co-opt for his fucked up tendencies.
Exactly.
I hate him.
100%. It's not BDSM.
Now we meet Julia, who knows how hot she is, which I love.
I know.
Julia, the artist,
I
is like,
love
I
that
was
about
not
her.
shocked when he slid into my DMs.
No.
She goes, I keep it tight.
Yes.
I'm not surprised at all.
No.
I was like, Julia,
I know.
can I borrow that for like 10 minutes?
I know.
Just to live in that?
But like she is number one, he's DMing Julia at the exact same time he's DMing Courtney.
Yeah.
Courtney thinks that they're like in love, and Julia's like, I was not naive. Like
Right.
but he's sending her dirty, really vile messages on Instagram.
Right. And like,
Saying that like he wants her to prove her devotion to him by like being tied up naked in public and letting like strangers have sex with her.
right. So that's the thing. Like, it starts off kind of like, being a good little pet and this very like submissive Dom kind of
Yes,
thing, which is
yeah.
like, I'm not offended by that
No,
at all.
yeah.
That's not the offensive part to me. The offensive part is that he's like co-opting this for his like evil motivations and not being honest with her about what he wants.
Exactly.
Because he's trying to like lure her in with things that are like, oh, that's kind of like dirty, but
Uh-huh.
all right, yeah, I could do that, and sort of like ease it in. And then he's basically telling her about his rape fantasies, which is not what we do here.
It's interesting because she's comes with the receipts. So she's got all of her DM history, and we're seeing that like he's saying these vile things to her about literally wanting to rape her.
Yeah.
And she's hearting them. And she's saying like,
But those little hearts just means that you're engaged or that you even received it. That's totally different than actually being like in a intimate space with someone.
and while it's all like virtual or whatever, like I don't know, like nobody really knows what the other person is actually like, and she's just humoring the famous guy that's DMing her.
And no one, like-
and she's fucking Julia. She's probably got 9 other famous people DMing her on her other phone.
Right, like they all do. And also, I think there's a little bit of safety with like, it's just a DM.
Yep.
Like, I'm not actually going to meet him.
Yep.
Meanwhile, cut to Courtney, July 4th, 2020. Armie Hammer.
This is insane.
This is
story.
insane.
Yeah.
So Armie Hammer is like, I'm going on a road trip. Like, I'm going to cross through Texas right where you live. Courtney has plans to be in the Hamptons.
Now, let me stop on this for 1 second.
Yeah.
I think upon a second watch, I think Courtney is putting off meeting him in real life as long as she can.
Yes.
I think Courtney has really good instincts and knows he's dangerous, hasn't really allowed herself to fully process that. She's got a trip to the Hamptons, and
And he's pissed.
well, and he's an asshole, fuck him. I'm just saying that, like, I do think that most people, if they're not getting a creepy vibe from the super famous hot guy they've been DMing, would be like, girls, do you mind if I just stay home this weekend so I can meet the hot famous guy?
Right. And also, can you like just watch me?
Yes.
Just like stand across the street and watch that nothing happens?
I think she very much is afraid to meet him, and that's why she goes on this trip.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So he's mad about it. He calls her 22 times.
Now, she's in the Hamptons.
Right. And he's mad about it.
Yeah.
And he's calling her 22 times. And then
He sends me a picture when I'm in the Hamptons of my building in Dallas. At this point, we've never spent time together. So it was weird. I remember being like, are we flirting or is this scary?
Now, she says, like, he's sending her a picture of her building from the highway.
Right.
And she's like, what are you doing there? Leave. She's telling him to leave.
she, in all caps, she says leave. And the next message is, why are you there? And his response is trying to find your scent.
So Courtney says, like, is this flirty? Is this crazy? Is this scary? I don't really know.
Because he says, I'm going in and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Then he sends a picture of the front door of her building.
Like, then, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, Courtney, it's scary.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
We're not flirting
Yes,
anymore. And this
no.
isn't BDSM. It never was. Like, stop. Then he leaves her a note. He's like taunting and stalking this woman.
Now, my question is, where did he leave the note? Did he slide it under the door? Did he get into her apartment? Did he leave it with the doorman? Like, where did this note get left?
I don't know,
we're
but
not
he
told.
leaves his fucking autograph,
Yes.
this guy. The note says, I'm going to bite the fuck out of you. And then he autographed it. And we see it. So, like, you dummy. Like, again, this is why, like, he's fucking deranged.
Him dummy, not
yeah,
her.
yeah. Like,
yeah.
the voice memos, the videos of him saying these women's names, leaving his autograph. Like,
Yeah.
dude, what?
Because if you're Courtney, I think she says she decided to look at that as flattering and not concerning. And maybe like the calculus she's making is like, he's a super famous guy on the upswing. He's maybe going to be nominated for an Oscar. Why? This can't be real.
Right.
He wouldn't
Can't
throw
do anything.
he's not going to like throw away this amazing career by actually being crazy. He's just being weird.
But a major red flag is that she would leave all of that out when she was telling her friends about him.
Yeah. And like, I think Courtney's main point for being here is to say, listen to your instincts.
Right.
Even if the guy's really famous.
Yeah, especially if the guy's really
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
So
Elizabeth Chambers and her actor husband, Armie Hammer, split. On Friday, the movie star shared the news in an Instagram post. Quote, it has been an incredible journey, but together we've decided to turn the page and move on from our marriage.
can I just make a plea?
Yeah.
For once, I'd love for people in the public eye to be honest about their divorce.
Yeah.
Like, it worked and then it didn't, and now we can't stand each other.
Right.
Or like, I've always hated him, but I'm finally saying
Yeah.
it out loud.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. There are kids involved. Like, it's fine.
Well, and there's billions of dollars involved. There's probably a prenup. If she doesn't say anything, she gets the money. Like, and I don't begrudge her that. I am sure there's a lot more to it than just one. But also, he's terrifying.
Right.
He's
Yes.
probably like threatened to kill her many times.
And I'm not saying this like specifically in this situation
Yeah.
because the family money and the family, like, we'll get into that. But in general,
Yeah.
like, it's so transparent to be like this. What did Gwyneth Paltrow say?
Conscious uncoupling.
Please. You're over it. And so is he. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
moving
yeah.
on.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
that would be so refreshing to be like,
God, I bet Gwyneth Paltrow is insufferable.
insufferable. I cannot stand her. I cannot stand her.
Oh, I kind of like her,
Oh,
but
whatever.
I-
Goop. All of her fucking misinformation and her $800
I know.
water. Get out
I
of
know.
here, Gwyneth. I'm sure Chris was like, if that's how you got to say it,
Uh-huh.
whatever.
Uh,
So, like, that was in July.
that they split up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was also in July when Armie Hammer stalked Courtney when she was in the Hamptons and was in her house in Texas.
Yeah, and Courtney, again, this is why she's here, but she's not listening to herself.
Yeah.
Because she decides she's going to go to LA to see a friend and also see him while she's there. She's going to LA to see him.
Right. And she's like, this is bizarre and risky. I admit both.
Yes, yes.
Uh,
but like, I don't blame her. I would have done the same thing.
know.
I want to date a famous guy.
You are dating a famous
I know,
guy.
yes. In a separate life where I am
You're
single.
married to one dating. Sorry.
I'm just saying. I get it, Courtney. I totally fucking
Little
get
bit
it.
under the spell, you
Yeah,
know?
yep.
So Courtney has dinner with her friends first, which I love.
Yes, of course.
Friends first, right?
Yep.
Armie was gonna pick me up after I had dinner with my friends. So I was very nervous. So was he. I mean, he was texting me like, I can't believe this. I'm so nervous. He pulls his truck up and I had my dog and I had a little suitcase. We saw each other and we like kissed on the lips immediately. And I was like, I think we were both like, whoop, whoop. Like, it just felt natural. I got in the car and then we were like off to the desert.
And we see Instagram videos of them. Like, they recorded this little trip. Like, for 3 weeks, they go on this, like, trip into the desert together.
And I gotta say, he hides the crazy pretty well for these 3 weeks. Like, and she's taking us to, like, this place in the Palm Springs desert where they go.
We're, like, there. We're back with her there.
Yeah.
They're helping Army's friend renovate this old motel.
I'm sorry, they paint a motel on vacation. I'm not okay with that.
No.
That is awful.
No.
Painting anything is the worst.
In August?
I
in the
can't.
desert?
Oh my God.
No.
I cannot. I cannot imagine it.
No. But Courtney explains, like, she felt really safe and he always made sure to be close to her or touch her in some way. Like, they would,
it's
like,
the love bombing.
you know, like, they had, like, this projector out in the desert where they watch movies. And, like, she said, like, he was always moving my chair closer to him. Like,
Yeah.
they always had to be, like, caressing in some way. If she uses the word magical, it was like another world. She was so happy. She can't believe it. And why would she?
Yep.
It's the guy from the Facebook movie. You know, like,
Exactly.
and I'm not making fun of
No,
her. It's
of
like, you
course.
kind of, I can't imagine.
But she says there was definitely times that something didn't feel right.
Okay. He takes her to a tractor store to look for rope.
And we see footage of this.
The store was out of rope for whatever reason. I am alarmed by that.
So is
Why
she.
are you out of rope? No. Not that he wants the rope.
Yeah.
Why are you out of rope? This doesn't feel like a town
I
with
know.
a big population.
No, and it's like, while we're here, we have to say it again. If you are at a Walmart and within a week you buy bleach and zip ties and duct tape and a tarp and trash bags, there should be some kind of alert in the system.
You want them on a list.
I want them on a list.
Yeah.
I don't think that's asking too much.
I don't either. The store was out of rope.
I know.
Yikes. Double yikes and triple woof.
Yeah,
because he wants to buy rope for sex, like for what is going to happen later tonight. And Courtney was relieved that the store was out of rope. And that is another major red flag. Like, you should be able to tell your person, I don't want to do this.
Well, she says that it was the first time he realized that this was, like, out of her comfort zone. So it does seem like it was intimated to him in some way.
Well, if he was really into BDSM, he'd say, cool, so what else do you want to do?
Exactly.
But she doesn't feel comfortable enough to really express that because they go back and they, like, at the motel, whatever, wherever they are.
One night, he was like, watch this movie. It's called The Secretary. It's one of his favorite movies. Maggie Gyllenhaal is the assistant to this lawyer.
What's wrong with you, Vlad?
He was training her to be very submissive.
And I have to say, again, I did a lot of research on this today.
Yeah.
According to my Googling, that movie's liked and appreciated by the BDSM community.
Yeah.
They hate 50 Shades. They love this. Because
Yes.
it kind of shows, like, this is how you really do it, right?
Exactly. Yep.
But, like, he is not doing it right because things get sexual.
Yep.
And then this is where she puts up a major boundary, which I don't want to cross with her. And I appreciate that she did it. But he starts doing things to her sexually without asking her. And he's, like, surprising her with things.
Yes.
And
she's very, like, just saying to us, she's like, I am not going to go into it.
Right.
I'm not going to tell you what happened, but it's something that required consent.
Right.
And he didn't have it.
Right. And that was the beginning of him just doing things to her.
Yeah.
That were painful that she didn't agree to.
And then she says, like, she wakes up the next morning and she realizes, like, she's been gone from her life for, like, 3 weeks and she's got it. Like, can you imagine, like, waking up and you're like, what have I been?
Who am I?
What
Where am
has
I?
happened? Right. And she flees back to Dallas. She says she's got to get back to her life. She gets in the shower at home and completely breaks down. And then she says that, like, but it was also confusing because what happened was awful and I felt really violated. But then we would talk on the phone and it was all, I love you, I miss you, I love you. And she had those emotions for him too.
It's the trauma bonding. It's the love bombing. It's horrible.
Yeah. And he's saying to her, I want you to move to LA and be my girlfriend. I need you every day. And she goes back to see him a week later.
But then it's the same thing. Like, it felt good when they were together, but when she was apart, she had like this pit in her stomach and she was crying in the shower.
Yeah.
Then it feels exclusive because he's obsessively calling her and texting her. But then the tabloids say he's dating Rumor Willis.
Oh,
and
God.
she's like, what the fuck?
And I'm also like, aren't you going to not fuck with Bruce Willis's kid?
The thing with Rumor happened and he said it didn't mean anything, but it's like, I remember seeing the way his hand was around her. He's very aggressive with his hands. He always wanted to be like, hand on me, hand on my arm, hugging me, like always. But like the way he was touching her, I was just like, made me feel like even smaller.
We see photos from like TMZ or whatever of Rumor Willis and Armie Hammer, and you can see he's like squeezing her.
Claiming them.
Yes.
He's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's like a possession.
Yeah.
So Courtney is betrayed, and she tries to end it. He won't let her.
Yes.
He's saying, nope, you're going to have to block me on everything. I don't want you to do this. Now, remember, he showed up to her home when she wasn't there.
Yeah.
And now Courtney says that he had Courtney's location on his phone. And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, can't she turn that off, though? Like, he knew where she was. And so he, like, shows up when she's on a walk with her friends. It's like,
Yeah.
this is fucking unreal.
But she says, like, in the moment, I told myself it was romantic, and I fell right
He's
back
fighting
in.
for me.
Like the movie star who shows up on a moped in Beverly Hills
I'm
on
so
your
sorry.
walk.
And also,
Yeah.
it's all this stuff of like, she's not in that world. So
Yeah.
he can explain away, that's what the paparazzi do. This is why I have to pretend I'm still with my wife. Like, he can sort of manipulate that and lie to her.
And Courtney would probably admit there's a part of her who wants to believe it.
Of course.
Of course you want to end up like the hot movie star.
I'm not going to begrudge her any of
no
that,
way.
you know?
Yeah. I
But-
am her. I am Courtney.
Right. They go on another road trip, girl.
Yeah. And she says, like, this is awful because, like, whereas the last road trip was sweet and fun and lovey and magical.
Until he did things without consent.
Yes.
So, like, it wasn't always.
No, but she says right from the start, this one was different. And then all of a sudden, we're seeing, like, actual pictures of the bruising of her body that he's doing to her.
Because he's biting her.
And hitting her.
Yeah.
Like, during sex, she
Yeah.
said there's red marks all over her body. We see a bite mark on her neck.
He bites really hard. And he tells you to wear them like a badge of honor. Almost like he convinced me that I'm lucky to have it. It's like, as fucked up as that sounds, at that time, I was interpreting that as love.
This is why she's here. She's here to say,
right.
I now know that, like, I should have lived. Like, Courtney is here doing the good work.
And he also, it's like she wasn't there because there's
Yeah.
no communication about, like, I'm going to bite you now. Is this cool? Or, like,
Yes.
does this hurt? Or
Yeah.
can I go
Yeah.
harder with that?
Well,
like,
and she says he's always pushing the boundaries little by little. He's not asking for consent. He's just doing the
he's just
thing.
doing it.
Yeah.
It's like he's by himself.
Right.
You know, like she's not even an active participant in this.
Yeah.
It's
He's a really
disgusting.
sick fucking guy.
He's fucking sick.
Yeah.
So now they're in Sedona. Army gets hammered at dinner. Courtney does not.
So, but she describes that scene so sadly because she's saying, and like anybody who's in a relationship has had a night where like the energy just isn't matching. It's
Yeah.
not a good time, but he's now getting wasted. He's drinking gin martinis.
Ugh.
He has 4 of them at dinner. That guy weighs 150 pounds. She's like, I had 1 margarita. I'm just seeing the night. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just
Oh
seeing,
my
you know
God,
what I
of
mean?
course, of course.
And he says to her, she says we weren't getting along, and then he mentions the ropes again. And now, like, and they're at dinner, and she just makes it clear she's not in the fucking mood for it.
And it also feels like they're not getting along. So what, is he going to punish her for that?
Right.
With the ropes now?
Yeah, and like she says, his mood goes from like bad to worse. Now he
Right.
can't look at her. He's really angry at her.
So his whole story is like, I've only ever done this to mannequins. I'm like, 'cause that's not fucking creepy.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, that's one step away from dead bodies.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I mean. It's like, that's why, like,
that was what the BD. What was the killer? The
Dahmer did it.
What was the one? The
BTK.
That's what BTK did.
Yeah.
He was like tying up mannequins before he was like tying up dead bodies.
Right. And I'm not saying that like the desire to tie someone up is, but the whole point is like, let's do this together.
Exactly.
Like that's what makes it hot.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
what's sexy, that there's that communication and like, do I like this? Yeah, I like it. Or like, no, pineapple, that's my safe word or
And,
whatever.
You know, she said like she had already told him she wasn't in the mood and he's wasted and he just does it anyway.
It was just horrible. And you're like completely immobilized. And it's like, there's something about trauma while you're immobilized and can't move. There's that fight or flight. You can't do either. You're just stuck there. And I'm just closing my eyes until it ended.
And she says, I said everything except no.
Yeah.
But she communicated, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't like this. I don't want this. But there was something in her. And this happens where that word, because that, to say it outright, you don't know what he's going to do.
Right.
If you say no, if there's like plausible deniability there for him, if she's like, I'm not comfortable with this, well, you will be.
Yeah.
But if she says no, that can make something snap.
But I was thinking, why didn't she say no? Not because I didn't know the answer. I was
Right.
just really trying to explore that thought.
Of course.
And that's exactly it. And you've trained me. Women don't say no.
That's
People don't say
trigger
no.
for men.
Because then he snaps and actually
Right.
kills. And she can't do anything.
So she tries in her way.
Yeah.
Any normal person would be like, super cool. Like, what
Yeah.
would you rather do? Nothing?
Yeah.
Great, let's go to bed.
Yeah.
But she says, you know, basically he ties her up, left her with bruises. He raped her for hours. And she says, I didn't like it. It didn't feel safe. I didn't feel loved. And then he just fucking went to sleep.
Yep. And Courtney in the interview needs a break.
Good. So do I.
Yeah. But she said she didn't want to do it, but she wrote it down. And that is
Smart.
so important. You know, she says like writing it down made it real, but she had to.
Right. So now, 3 days after this, she meets his mother.
Yeah. Because again, he's just completely violated her, abused her, and this is his like, and
Reward.
now we're back to love bombing.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't this so great?
And she says like meeting the mom is a really big deal to me.
Right. And it went terribly. And then they break up 2 days after that.
Right. Right.
Great.
But this is where Courtney says,
I knew something about him would come up in the future because I know how careless he is. I know how he texts and he just leaves trails of all this madness everywhere.
she's like, we broke up, we're done. But I knew someday down the road I was going to get a call from a producer like this person because he's so reckless.
That's what I mean. It's like the videos. He's like saying their name. I mean, he's not trying to hide any of it.
Sending these like, I want to rape you messages from his verified Instagram
like
account.
Quotes. Like it's crazy. So January 2021, we're outside Washington, D.C. We meet Candace Cronkite.
Yep.
She's BBF Bravo on Instagram. She loves entertainment gossip.
And she loves being nosy. I kind of love Candace.
And there's another account, House of Effie.
Yeah.
And House of Effie is releasing DMs from Army from all these different women, like all of this horrible shit. Like, and it goes from like what could be arguably like kind of kinky, like, oh, that's kind of like raunchy, to straight up cannibalism.
Yes.
Saying, I want to cut off your skin and have you cook it for me. Jesus fucking Christ.
And he actually...
And rape. He's admitting to rape. And we don't know who this is sent to.
Yeah.
But it's a text, like we see it.
This is insane.
He just admits to it. He describes rape. He uses the word rape. It's fucking terrible.
This violent rape that he did to this person, and he's thanking her for it.
And then he's describing her crying and screaming and like, I felt like such a god.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never felt this power before. And I'm like, you know who needs a break now? Me.
Yeah.
Fuck this guy.
So all of those DMs are coming from that account, House of Effie. So in Dallas, Candace gets a DM from a different account called Du Moi.
Yeah.
And it's another account that's trying to verify the veracity of the DMs from the House of Effie account.
Right.
And this Du Moi person just like follows the news and had heard of Courtney because she was in the papers for dating Armie Hammer. So she just says like, hey, you dated this guy. Can you like verify that this is how he talks, that these DMs are real?
And Courtney was like, this is my time. I've been waiting for this. Let's do it.
She's like,
I know how this man speaks. I could write a text for him. I've seen them a million times. I know the language he uses, punctuation he uses. He always used the word kitten. He'd be like, hi, my little kitten. That was very common. The messages that House of Effie was showing, he said this exact same word to me. You know, I was like, that's 100% true. That's Armie.
So she's on the record. That's huge news.
Yeah.
All of these gossip sites are now publishing all of this and
Yes.
talking about it. And what is so fucking crazy is that, so social media goes off the rails, right? Like the Facebook guy did what?
Yeah,
Like one
yeah,
of the Winklevi? Like, oh my God. But what they're focusing on is the like crazy, weird, like quote, kookiness of the cannibalism.
So this is wild. We see a DM that he sent to somebody who says, it says, I am 100% a cannibal. I want to eat you. And then he gets like happy. He's saying it's scary to admit it. I've never admitted it before. Like he
feels like free.
He legitimately is a cannibal.
Right.
He really, truly wants to eat her.
I want to see your brain, blood, organs, every part of you. I try to bite your organs or fuck them. I'm not sure which.
Like, how is he not, like, why is this guy on the streets? This is fucking terrifying.
Yeah, do things to you till you're sore and broken. Now, this is like very fucking horrifying, but the people on social media are making memes about the cannibalism, which is fucked up. It's not funny, but he's also raping women and telling and like making them recount it again.
Yes. And all of this is true. Like, all of these things are fucking real. So more women are coming forward. We learn about a woman named Jessica, a woman named Paige Lorenz. Armie is dropped from a J-Lo movie. WME drops him as a client.
And he also says, like, then it's like, wait a second. Everyone's starting to look back, hindsight 2020, like all of these things. Like he follows Shibari accounts on Instagram, which is like Japanese rope tying or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is, again, fine, but that's not like what he's doing it for. He has a rope on Stephen Colbert. He does this party trick where he can tie a rope in 30 seconds.
Armie Hammer in Playboy said he likes rough sex, he likes to pull hair, maybe a bit of choking, but he would never do it to his wife because he respects her too much.
Fuck that.
Well, but that's also not BDSM, because BDSM is all about respect.
But listen to what he's saying.
Yeah, yes.
Like, pull my hair and respect me. You can do both.
Exactly.
Like, that's the hottest part about it. You're pulling my hair and you respect me. Great.
Yeah.
But, like, also, like, what does that say about how he feels about Courtney and Jessica and all of these women? Like, I won't do it to my wife because I respect her too much?
No,
fuck off.
like, he has a sickness. He doesn't want to, like, have sex with these women. He wants to rape and abuse them.
Right, and eat them.
Yes. Oh, my God.
Gloria Allred's here, however.
Look, like, I was like, wait, she's trash, right? I Googed it because, you know, her daughter, Lisa Bloom, is the one who was, like, saying to Harvey Weinstein, like, you should come out the hero in this narrative.
Yes.
Like, put me on retainer.
Yes.
I was looking up Gloria Allred, and, like, Gloria Allred is also known to have, like, quote, silenced Weinstein accusers by getting them settlements and keeping, like, their allegations out of court. So Gloria Allred is, like, yeah, it's all bad.
Like, she really fell from great, because she really helped a lot of Cosby abusers. I learned that on Let the Women with Lisa Lutlow. Lublin. Like, she was a champion for them.
Totally.
So that's really fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But she's here. What is she, the Janine Pirro? She's here to go after Armie Hammer. Like,
Yeah.
she's here because she says, like, kinky is not against the law. Rape is.
Yes.
Thank you. Very simplified.
So Gloria is here because she's representing the girl behind the House of Effie accounts. And we see this heartbreaking video from this girl giving testimony about how bad it was. He once literally tied her up and raped her for 4 hours in Los Angeles. It's a brutal video thing to listen to.
Yeah.
So I don't want to describe it too much, but it's this video that gets the police investigation launched.
Right.
Oh, and Armie Hammer is now being represented by a guy named Andrew Bretler, who represented Cosby, Chris Noth, and Bryan Singer.
Perfect.
But she's like, what must it be like to be like, get me Cosby's guy? You know what I mean?
Get me Cosby's guys on the phone.
Jesus Christ.
Jesus. So now, like, Armie Hammer releases a statement denying any and all wrongdoing. Of course, that train's never late. So then we just basically meet these other TikTokers, and everyone's like making these videos about Armie Hammer. And then they realize, like, wait a second.
Yeah.
This is bad, but this is sort of the tip of the iceberg
Well,
here.
because we meet Lauren. She goes by Zen Blonde on social media.
And then eventually my friend tipped me off that the Hammer family was crazy and that there were a few books about it. Casey Hammer is Armie Hammer's aunt. I found Casey's book on Audible, so I downloaded it and immediately started listening to it and literally could not believe what I was hearing.
And she's listening in real time to Armie Hammer's aunt describing her father raping and beating women. And she's making TikToks in real time being like, this shit didn't start with Armie.
Right.
This goes back generations.
So then someone tags Casey or Casey learns about the TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're all together and it ends. This episode ends with Casey Hammer, Armie's aunt who wrote the book.
Yes.
Saying,
my name is Casey Hammer and I'm about to reveal the dark, twisted secrets of the Hammer family.
And I'm like, I don't know how much more I can take.
I know.
This is really fucking hard.
It's crazy.
I'm going to watch the Golden Girls and eat Chinese food tonight. I need all the self-care. I need I don't care. I'm eating way past my bedtime.
Totally.
I just need to I need a shower and I need my husband and I need my dog and I need comfort food.
All right, let's get you out of here. Hey fam, thanks for checking out episode 1 of our Patreon coverage of House of Hammer. All 3 episodes are available right now and ad-free at the $5 level on our Patreon. So just head over to patreon.com/truecrimeobsessed or go to our website and click on the Patreon link. We have over 350 full ad-free bonus episodes there, and you get them all right away to binge the second you sign up. All right, fam, we love you. Bye.